only had a long chat with those buyers that said, oh, money is no problem, whatever. And so it's so funny because, they're Asians and Asians tend to be frugal. Um, and and so we were talking about business opportunity versus commercial real estate, and they asked for right off like what the commission rate is, and I said, well, if it's a commercial property, then it's lower, 5%. But then if it's business, it's 10%. Oh, well, we're gonna keep with the business, but that's kind of like a self-storage or laundromat. And is that considered business, or is that considered real estate where real estate is attached? Question.
Well, I mean, it depends. So, like a gas station could be, they could own the real estate or they couldn't. Business is not really relocatable. So if they own the real estate and if I'm selling a gas station with the real estate, then in my mind, it's a business.
Oh, what about self-storage and laundromat?
So I could see where, a commercial broker would probably say self-storage because the commercial part of it probably is going to have the real estate is probably going to have a much higher value than the business portion of it. So it really depends.
I see.
It depends on how big the self-storage is, how much money it's generating, revenue-wise, and so forth. And if it's very small, like there was a deal up in the self-storage, it was up in, I think, Northern California, actually. And, the gross revenue was less than, I think the annual gross revenue was only $20,000 or $30,000. And so it was like that. I mean, that's not a business, that's a hobby. I mean, you can't do a full-on business transaction with that. So it was like, just included. It's really the commercial property is where all the value was. And instead of, you just modify the commercial contract, instead of saying it's going to be turned over broom clean, you just say it's going to be turned over with all business assets in place. You just make an addendum. And that's the easiest way to handle that.
Okay. So, but in any case, they gave me the marching orders and say, oh, okay, that's what we want to focus on. And we want to buy a business that has, property that has business, and because they don't want to pay 10% in business broker fees. So, but CoStar doesn't list anything like that. So Biz Buy Sell, is that where I'll be looking?
I mean, I don't know. I think self-storage, you probably can find
LoopNet.
Yeah, LoopNet. I mean, I would think that CoStar would have storage facilities in it.
They do.
Commercial property. I haven't used CoStar enough to figure out how to, to know how to drill down on it, but I would think. Call the CoStar rep and have them walk you through it. I'm sure you can pull it up in there.
Okay. John, I came in when you were telling your story, but you closed on a self-storage. Is that correct?
I closed on a coin laundry, but I did close on a self-storage as well last year. But this was an urban location in downtown Los Angeles. It was an old industrial building that was converted into storage space, almost lockers, by USC. And the deal, there was a total of 118 units with an expansion proposal for an additional 180 storage units. So it was kind of like a weird proposal. But cut a long story short, they did not own the land. They only owned the business. So we ended up selling the business for $750,000 to a local investor. But I'll be honest with you, I had so much interest. And the advertising that I did was on Biz Buy Sell that fed into LoopNet. And then, it got distributed out to different things like BizBin, BizQuest, DealStream. So once you feed it on Biz Buy Sell, and that kind of like, feeds itself out to others as well. And I think if you go to, if, for example, with CAB, the California Association of Business Brokers, um, you can post on that. You can go to the International Business Brokers Association and list on that. And then there are feeds through Biz Buy Sell that you could do um, like a push, and that's through LinkedIn, your social media channels, and other sources. So there is a way to. I'm just telling you, I had a lot of. I don't know what I did exactly, but I just put it out there as best as I could. And I had a lot of feedback. In fact, I had an interested party from Japan. One of the largest Japanese storage companies was looking into new market, the U.S. market as a new market for them to expand into because they're so saturated in Japan. I mean, they literally have these tiny little cubbies in like railway stations and bus stops, and it's really crazy what they do with storage over there. Um, so yeah, so I think you're gonna have a lot of interest.
Well, I think in this case, Nancy is her clients are buyers.
Right.
She's not working for the seller. So
Sorry.
her clients are wanting her to go look for something that they can buy. So a little bit different situation.
Sorry about that. I misunderstood the question. I was just kind of like, somebody should have stopped me.
No, no, I mean, you're good. You're right. Self-storage, there's a lot of interest in self-storage. There's always a lot of buyers looking for that. And partly because it's more of a passive type. It's not an employee heavy business. It's more of a passive type of investment. It's not completely passive like other real estate, although, sometimes it can be, but yeah, in general, it's not super heavy on the employment and headaches of having employees and things like that. So, and it doesn't have to be owner operated. There's not a lot of cash. You don't have to worry about that. Typically, most of the time people are paying either recurring with a credit card on file. It's just automatically charged every month, or they pay by check or whatever. So
Yeah, this particular one that I sold was just fully automated. I mean, from the moment you find your locker, the whole process is online. Of insurance, selecting your locker, monthly payments, access to the building, access to your unit. It's all automated now. It's all fully automated. The owner was just going in there just to clean up, just pick up some things here and there. She had her own like little office space that she conducted some business, like her personal stuff, but it's becoming hands off now.
yeah.
Very automated.